If you've ever looked for a cheap SSD on Amazon, odds are you came across the Kingston A400. It has a 5-star rating with more reviews than any other 2.5-inch SSD under $30. Based on reviews alone, it would seem this drive is clearly the best option when it comes to affordable, small-capacity SSDs. But today, I'm going to put the A400 to the test and see if the Kingston really is the king of cheap SSDs, or if another drive might take that throne. Maybe the King's done. King's done. Roll the intro. This is the Kingston A400, a 120GB 2.5-inch SATA SSD. At the time of editing this video, it's listed at $30 on Amazon, but I bought mine a few weeks back for around $26. It claims sequential read and write speeds of 500 and 450 megabytes per second, respectively, and it's important to note that this drive does not include a DRAM cache, which is pretty typical with drives in this price range. I had planned to review this drive a while back when I recorded my cheap SSD shootout, but as I mentioned in that video, the A400 I ordered was dead on arrival. After posting that video without the A400, I had a lot of people mention that they had great success with it, so it only made sense that I should order a replacement drive and test it. Hence this video. Fortunately, this drive worked, so we're going to run it through the same set of tests that we ran the previous 4 drives through and see how it stacks up. If you want more details on the test methodology and how to interpret some of the results, you can check out my cheap SSD shootout video by clicking the card or link in the description that I hopefully remember to add. But essentially, we'll use Crystal Disk Mark to test the drive after a fresh format and with nothing stored on it. Then we'll test boot times into Windows 10, and then finally, we'll rerun our Crystal Disk Mark tests with the drive at around 84% capacity. I'm using my wife's PC, which has an AMD Ryzen 3500, to test all of the drives, so we should be limited strictly to the performance of the drives themselves. Before we get into the results, I want to be very clear that I am not an expert when it comes to solid-state technology, and I don't have the equipment or knowledge to truly be scientific with these tests, but I will try to be as transparent and accurate as I can. One of the biggest issues with my test is that I'm only able to test with a sample size of 1, so it's entirely possible that I received drives that don't represent the expected performance of the majority of a given model. I'll talk in more detail towards the end of this video about my thoughts on the results, so make sure and stick around until then if you have any questions or concerns. Also, all of my test results will be available on a Google Sheet and a link in the description if you would like to look at the raw data before making any of your own purchase decisions. With all that out of the way, let's look and see how the Kingston A400 performs. To kick things off, we're going to see how well the drive performs with nothing stored on it. Looking at sequential reads, the Kingston performs pretty poorly at a queue depth of 8, but with a queue of 1, it holds its own, coming close to the ADATA SU800 and Silicon Power A55. I should also note that I'm only looking at results in megabytes per second for this video, so if you're interested in IOPS results, they're included in the raw data. While sequential speeds are representative of some use cases, random speeds are going to be a much better indicator of how this drive will perform in a real-world scenario, and things here aren't looking good. The A400 performs poorly with both a large queue of 32, as well as with a queue of 1, which is what you'll mostly see with desktop-type workloads. The Lexar NS100, Silicon Power A55, and Inland Professional all beat the A400 here, and all 3 of these drives are currently being sold for around 30% less than the A400 at $20.99. Here's a graph showing both sequential and random read speeds for all 5 drives. This is the same data we just looked at before, but it's all consolidated into one chart. We'll switch now to write speeds, and we see that the A400 is the worst performer in all 4 tests. So far, things aren't looking very good. Next, we have the boot tests. To do this, I'm measuring from the first frame that the power LED is fully lit until the frame where the clock on the Windows 10 splash screen is rendered. I ran the test 3 times, and I'm showing the median result here. Once again, all the results are available in the Google Sheet. The A400 continues to disappoint in this test, taking over 3 seconds longer to boot when compared to the next slowest drive, the Silicon Power A55. For our last set of results, we'll look at how the Kingston performed while at nearly full capacity, and we finally see something good here. When comparing the drive to itself, there was essentially no hit to performance when the drive began to fill up, unlike something like the ADATA SU800, which saw significant hits to performance. This helps the A400 make up a little ground when looking at read speeds, but even with this benefit of consistency, it continues to be one of the worst performers. And when we look at the write performance, the Kingston is once again dead last in each test. It was at this point in the video that I was going to give my final thoughts on the Kingston A400 and its competition. I actually had finished recording the voiceover where I was going to say that if it were up to me, I would spend the extra money on the ADATA SU800 and avoid the Kingston A400 entirely, but I just felt weird telling potential buyers what to do after only testing one of each drive. So I decided to order a second Kingston A400, as well as another ADATA SU800, to see if the results were consistent with the second drive of each. I wasn't able to use my wife's PC again, so I switched over to a Dell desktop with an Intel i3-8100 as our test bench. Because I'm on a different system, I won't be comparing any of this data with the previous tests, and instead I'm running all new tests on both the ADATA and Kingston drives. I decided to forego the boot test, and instead I'm just focusing on the benchmarks. I also decided to run each set of benchmarks twice and then use an average of the two runs. Starting again with reads in megabytes per second, we can see clear consistency between drives of the same model. The Kingston once again is close when looking at sequential speeds, but doesn't even come close when looking at random reads. The ADATAs are essentially twice as fast or better depending on the workload. When looking at writes, it's a similar story. The A400 doesn't even really compete in a single workload. I transferred files over to the drives in a similar way as before, but actually forgot some files and didn't catch it until most of the way through the tests. So instead of being around 80% capacity, I ended up at around 84 gigabytes of consumed disk space. Since this was the same for all of the drives, I decided to just stick with the results rather than going back and doing all of the runs again. With the drives mostly full, the ADATA drive takes a slight hit to performance like in the first round of tests, but both of them are still leading the Kingstons by a significant margin, at least in random reads. Things get a little funky with the write speeds though. Our first ADATA drive easily outperforms the Kingston here, but the second SU800 struggled significantly in one of the two runs, bringing the average performance down to about on par with the A400. With all of these tests so far, we've been using 1GB test file sizes, which doesn't necessarily give a good idea of how the drives perform with long, extended file transfers. So I ran our Crystal Disk Mark test again on each drive, but with a test file size of 16 gigabytes. This should hopefully take caching out of the equation and give a better idea of how the controller and NAND actually perform. Starting again with reads, and well, things just aren't getting better for the A400. Sequential speeds aren't far behind, but random speeds are less than half of that of the SU800. The write results are, well, odd to say the least. I have no idea why the second A400 scored so well on the Q1 sequential test. Hopefully with future content, I can invest some more time into running these benchmarks and removing any outlier scores to get better and more accurate results, but I'm just going to go with what I have here. So although one of the Kingstons has a massive victory, the SU800 is the obvious winner once again. So here is the actual point of the video where I can somewhat safely recommend, just in terms of performance, that you purchase the ADATA SU800 over the Kingston A400, as long as the price is the same or similar. Now understand that I have no realistic way to test the longevity or endurance of these drives, so this recommendation is purely based on how well they performed. I've seen reviews and comments containing anecdotes of all of the drives failing or lasting for years on end, so I don't think there's currently any good way of knowing for sure which drives will last the longest. And honestly, if your data is really important to you, I would probably look at something a bit more reputable, like something from Samsung. But if all you need is a cheap 128GB drive for a project or something, you might as well get one that performs better. At least that's my thinking. Hopefully this video was helpful for you, but if it wasn't, I would love to hear constructive feedback in the comments. I'd also love to hear experiences that you've had with the A400 or any other budget SSDs. If you want to support the channel, a simple like is always helpful, but if you would like to help me purchase more components like these, maybe check out my Patreon, but by all means, don't feel compelled or pressured to support me financially. And if you like these videos and want to see more, well, you know how YouTube works. Hit that subscribe button. That's all for now, so thanks for watching, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.